Someone in the North Kent club said you didn't need it, and I was inclined to go along with him. But another thing that surprises me with it, I could put the TS120 on, the RCR70 or the TS830 and find a station there, and you can tune them on, and they're all on the digital readout within a few cycles of each other. So the aging of components and so on doesn't necessarily mean that effective in shifting frequency readouts anyway. I was quite amazed by that. Later on, one of our club members decided that he would like to move the 225 RD on with Mutec front end, which some people obviously will remember, the Mutec company.
Yes,
and it was used on one or two occasions in contests for the Cray Valley when Dave was the owner. I subsequently took it over and have enjoyed quite a lot of working with that. But unfortunately, when I wanted it to do the station for St John's Church, it let me down. I'd had it up on soak, as it were, for weeks and weeks beforehand to make sure everything was all right. And what happened was, as soon as you keyed up, the display went, and evidently it was the oscillator went off frequency that drives the display. Anyway, one of our Emporium sorted it out for me, and it's going great guns. As Paul would say this morning, I worked him on the way in, and he was impressed with the signal and the quality of the audio.
Phil, next to the FT225, I see you've got the famous Bird through-line watt meter.
Yes, yes.
Is that the one you're saying that you bought at the
that
Cray
was
Valley?
a purchase from one of the Cray Valley junk sales in the days when people used to bring in bags and bags of components that maybe would come from the factory, and they couldn't be bothered to pick them up off the floor, so they swept them up into a bag and said that would do for the junk sale. And one of the members came along one evening, and the Bird was up for sale, and I secured it for £60, which I think was, to me anyway, a bargain.
Yes,
So,
especially seeing you got a couple of the inserts with it.
yes, when you think of the price of the inserts as well, it was complete with 3 inserts. So yes, and it worked very well.
You had a little motif or something on there that you've just taken off. What's that?
Yeah. Well, that's
Let me see. Oh yes, what's that then?
that's my cap badge from my national service, which I polished every day for a couple of years for the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. I had nothing to do with anything electrical or mechanical when I was in there, apart from a broom or a paintbrush or a mower cutting the grass for you, if you like.
Discipline.
But I decided not to send that back when they asked me to send my kit back, so I park it up there as a reminder.
As a memento of your service days, looking after the Bird through-line watt
Because
meter.
lots of those things these days are used more and more with various veterans badges for having served your national service and so on. But then along I went to one of the shows, and I wanted something for 70 centimetres, and I decided to from Lowe, I think it was, Electronics, purchase the Trio 98 or 9500. Very nice little unit. Obviously these days very useful, sideband, 10 watts, but it performed very, very well indeed. And I've always liked that, so again I wouldn't part with it. I managed to actually knock the man down on the stall for about £20 when I bought it.
Excellent. So what have we got next to that?
The
then?
next one is the IC505.
Yes.
6 metre portable.
Yeah.
It's about 8 watts out on maximum. You can drop it down to a couple of watts on the switch there, and with its own built-in whip antenna.
Oh right.
And not long after purchasing it, my son was very interested in it, as he was a young lad then, and interested in these things. And he was very excited when we pulled the whip up and had the tune round, and there was the Americans coming in on the telescopic whip.
Oh yes, and what's that one on a Linko? That's another for 6 meters, is it?
Yes, 6 metre Linko FM.
Well, Phil, to the left and down a bit, there's another TS. A TS. What one's
Yes,
it?
TS 830.
The 830. Yeah.
Which again came from, unfortunately, a silent key disposal and it was G8 JNZ,
Oh, yes.
if I remember rightly. I think I've got that right. He had purchased it from another silent key sale, which I didn't realise that it was G2WI, the Wild Indian.
Was it?
Now, when I was at school in 1946, 47, I was in the school where G2WI was a teacher, and he was one of those who forced me to do a forward roll on the mat without coming off sideways, because I could never do anything like that. That type of thing wasn't me, sport or anything like that, I'm afraid. Wires and batteries and stuff like that, yeah, fine. And I found out that this was G2WI's transceiver. I thought that was rather nice, as I'd known him and I liked the man very much. Met him again in later years in the Cray Valley meetings, and reminded him that he'd given me 500 lines to write out for some insignificant offence that I'd committed, but that was the game at the time. I can remember someone having to write out 500 times procrastination is a praiseworthy virtue. So that was the type of schooling that we had in those days. But Brian always had a lot of boys around him, and that was the reason he introduced so many boys to the wonderful hobby of amateur radio. So he really did some really firm work in introducing people to the great hobby.
Well, there's the tuning unit back into its case, essentially. And above that, a TW 2-meter converter. I believe you just said it's silver...
Silver plated, with silver plated chassis.
And you got the, but beneath that you got the HRO. Sorry, not the HRO, the
R1155, yes. That was the second one that I've owned. The first one was just 80 metres only, but there was a lot of activity going on top band in those days, and this was the trawler band model, which took in the lower frequencies, and it had a refined vernier drive, which was very positive, very smooth, and it enhanced the listening more than somewhat with the small magic eye tuning indicator.
Yes.
And you could get spot on frequency with it, and never any problems.
Well, Phil, thanks ever so much for showing us around your shack. Let's have a look at the business end of your radio station. Have a look at your antennas, can we?
Yes, certainly.
Okay,
yes,
let's go down there.
We'll
then.
go downstairs and see what we can see. Not a lot, but we'll see you down there.